never really like to give up, and they didn't really have that drive.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to ascend.
We kind of just threw at the end.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, M80 were winning 5 versus 3.
Look how quick this one.
Oh!
Welcome back to Valorant Challengers League North America.
so
I'm your
tall.
host, Elizabeth. Joined by Vans and Compass. I have met Vans IRL. He is considerably tall, but I'm also 5'9". So take with that what you will. But we also have Gompers. How tall are you?
I'm 5 feet.
Period.
Oh, you're like 7'8". Gomper's like 7'8". She towers me.
Vans is like 10 feet, honestly. I don't.
Yeah, it's true. He towers over us. Shout out production making him just like looking all the way up. But
Like, out of the cut, like, yo, what's up? How's everybody doing? I'm M80. I'm just stomping on you, Burger Boys.
Yeah, that window you see behind him is actually a sunroof. Don't be fooled. He's...
You know, for Shift trying to predict what we were going to say, I don't think he could have seen this one coming at the end of the game. But if you're just joining us, M80 defeated Burger Boys 13-11. A very close map, a very hard-fought map. I'm going to go to our tall king, Vans. Vans, simply put, all the way up there. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I do agree with what Shift was saying. There's a lot of it was around Sato, but I think overall I like to say that the macro from both of these teams wasn't that great for me when you're looking at how they're playing on the attack side. I want to start things off with like Burger Boys having a good understanding of how they could play against M80 because M80 was not playing good or no sentinels, right? So they had so many lurk capabilities and they weren't really being re-cleared in those moments. And M80 kind of like just one geared and tried to be very explosive because that was the nature of their comp. But without watching players and without focusing people or players on watching flanks, they kind of fell short in a lot of these moments where they were getting wallbang, backstab, ecoed a lot. And I gotta say, a little bit was unluckiness because they were getting spammed through smoke a crap ton by Burger Boys. But then once we actually switched sides, though, Burger Boys ran into similar issues. It just felt like they just wanted to one gear into a Flood site takes, but you're forgetting that you're playing against a composition that's very good for Flood retakes when you're playing double initiator on the other end. So I felt that there was a lack of good lurking on Nanner's side when that was so good on their defensive side, which didn't really manipulate and rotates the map well enough here for Burger Boys and allowed M80 to just pop off.
I felt like too, like, yeah, I agree. The Flood retakes and, you know, just being taken advantage by flank, like Van said, was a very, very huge issue. And honestly, I felt like that kind of, obviously not led to M80's demise because they're going 13-11 now. They did end up being victorious within this, but it led to a lot of issues from the start, you know, leading off on that attacking half, you know, just trying to patiently lure out Burger Boys and play somewhat of a slow game off the rip in a lot of these games, and then having to move towards rotations, but then being caught out, whether it be behind them, whether it be, you know, in angles that they weren't necessarily expecting. And I felt like a lot of the time they were struggling to you know, find that balance on the attacking side. Definitely felt like defense was a little bit more coordinated in terms of having, you know, the util be a little bit more in cohesion, especially for Burger Boys. Honestly, I'll give them some credit there, you know, when it came to their attacking side, or I'm sorry, their defensive side, where no, actually, it was their attacking side where they did manage to zone in the players of M80, and they were fighting for their absolute lives in this game to keep that victory in their pockets because they were doing everything, right? Retro with Practo shutting off corners to allow pretty much anyone and everyone to fight for sight, right? Along with, you know, we did get to see a little bit of Q and Victor play alongside Bao to try to help him, you know, peek the A site angles and really try to fight for sight when they were left alone and they didn't have any avenues. So they were protecting each other at the same time. And both of these teams were honestly putting everything they could forth, every single piece of util. So I give them respects there, but definitely a big congrats to M80 for keeping that resilience there.
Yes, a nice comeback from the boys, which it was looking a little rocky at first, Vans, but eventually the second half kind of turned it around. But right now we're looking at the head-to-head of Sato versus Bonnie. Now, we were hyping this matchup before. We were talking about this is something you really want to look at. You really want to pay attention to this. Now that we have seen both of them and seen this head-to-head, Vans, what is your read on these two duelists facing each other?
They both did their jobs in different ways. I think Sato, you saw that he had moments where he had to clutch out for the team, especially somehow playing as a Yoru on defense when he's going to be at the forefront first. he's still, yes, getting the first kill and then coming back for clutches towards the end. So for him to stay alive that long and to be able to be a key component into these foot retakes that we're just talking about for M80 is actually quite nice. So Sato definitely popping off for praising his mechanical skills. We wanted to see it going into this matchup against Burger Boys today, and he definitely did, right? Top of the charts, 28 and 16 going into the kill, death, assists column. On the side, though, of Bonnie, although a little bit lower in the category, he was 19 and 20, but the reason why I said he did his job, he's still 8 and 2 on First Bloods, doing as much as he could in terms of holding space on a defensive side, where he capitalized on 4 of those First Bloods out of the 8, and then getting 4 on the attack side when he's actually trying to create that space for the team. So I think overall, again, with 2 different type of compositions, one using a Vice and one just not playing a Senti, I think both teams did quite good in terms of the approach that they wanted to have here on this map, despite what I was mentioning before, the lack of a little bit of activation on their attack side. But defense really good for both teams.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the defense. I was super pleased with I believe it was, oh my gosh, guys, my brain is not braining Boney's performance. I don't know why I keep forgetting that name. That name is so cool. Boney's performance on Raze too, because like you said, it really did work out. They did their job. They got the first kills, but there were so many pivotal moments where, you know, the call that they happened to make was the exact call that they needed to win that round, right? We saw the showstopper come out when they heard doors open. They didn't know how many players were there, but it was that pivotal moment where Boney was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. All I can ask for is maybe a flash to come through, and you know what, I'm gonna slide and peek this corner and we're gonna see what I can do. And that was a free 2K, and honestly, like a huge conversion on that round. So I think it was moments like those that kind of led you to believe this team is gonna keep going and possibly win the whole thing. It was very intense game for sure.
If I'm either team, Vans, I'm not terribly upset about how that match went. Obviously, there are things we can always improve on and do better, but for both teams, that was a showing that we were hoping for. We were hoping for that resilience from 880. We're hoping for that competitiveness from Burger Boys. The confidence going to map 2 for both teams should be pretty good, no?
I agree. If the matchup finished right now in map number 1 and you had to interview either of the teams from M80 or from Burger Boys, I think both of them would have said, we just did a small stupid mistakes that costed us the map or the game. And I got to agree with that, because M80, you know, I'm interviewing myself as a player on both sides. That's how I'm doing it. But like, for example, there's still like some like mistakes that happen on the side of M80, especially on the piss around, when they're trying to break the Vice wall and then they just walk into their own one ways and then getting picked off. Or from the side of Burger Boys, they're not as coordinated when they want to try to execute onto a site or set up for the post plants, right? They had like a 4 versus 2 situation where you had a Viper orb that was missed on the retake there from Bao, and somehow M80 was still able to convert that round because of Sato's great shooting. But macro-wise, a 3 versus 2 going into the post plant, that should have been Burger Boys all day long. So, which is why you're seeing such a close result of a 13-11 due to these mistakes. But split, I think both teams, or should I say even M80, quite comfortable on that map. I'm not too sure how this is going to pan out. I was mentioning 2-1 here, Liz, but if it was going to be 2-1 for M80, it had to be Lotus on his side here for Burger Boys to win.
I think something I also want to highlight while we go and see what our next map is going to be, going back to the map vetoes, is that Chet called a timeout at 4-2 and 6-4. So you know that man is active. You know that man is making sure that he sees plenty that the boys need to work on. And granted, that was their first half, which they did not perform as well on. But it's really encouraging and good to see as a coach to see that he is aware of these issues. And even if you won 13-11, we go into split, your map pick, and he knows exactly what needs to be, like, if it's something that's not more of like a macro map thing, little things that we can work on. Moving into split, I'm going to go to you, Gumpers, about Burger Boys on split. This is a map we have not seen today. So right away, do you think this is maybe a stolen map pick on Burger Boys half, or is it going to be a clean 2-0 considering that M80 stole Burger Boys pick?
Listen, I don't know, man. Like, again, Vans pointed out they lost to Ambrosia on this map. it wasn't looking the absolute best, to be completely blunt with you. Obviously, like there were some things that just needed to be honed in on, but I think in terms of skill level, obviously we've seen that both these teams are pretty similar in terms of whether it be aim, Boney versus, you know, the duelists are definitely looking pretty on par with each other as well. I think it was just situational, honestly. There was a lot of bad luck within this game, right? It's very hard because, you know, despite you being behind a smoke, you still have full access to you know, to where the typical plant spots are. You can do a ton of wall bangs that are completely unfair, and it is quite difficult of a map to keep your post plant positioning. So I will say very, very situational. But for Split, I don't know, performance coming through from Sato was absolutely insane. I'm gonna say it. Yeah, I think it might be an M80 game again.
Yeah, sorry, and to correct myself as well, when I was mentioning like a slower paced game for Split and that it was kind of lost, it was for the mental of me of what you were just saying here, Goppers, on Sato not unfortunately performing to what we know Sato could do. But it was actually on the side of Okeanos that was also popping off rather as the Tejo to be able to pull up these numbers to allow M80 to take over Ambrosia. And now that you're looking at it though, for M80 going into this game, there's another roster or compositional change on the side of M80. So Victor seems to be sticking around and staying as the Tejo, and M80 just wants to fully drop the whole gameplay around having to use a Sentinel for these type of maps, because you could already do enough with like an Omen and a Viper in terms of stall on your defensive side of Split. So another, once again, different type of approach that we see here coming on the side of M80, but also still a very strong composition overall.
And now we have maybe possibly one more map, unless Burger Boys can push it to a map 3, but they must win M80's map pick of Split. And I know Shift probably has something sassy to say about me, so let's hear it from him. It is Shift and Tenric on the call.
No, nothing today. Just going to go into the compositional change. Now, this is, for M80, this isn't new. It dates back to what they did in the Swiss stage from stage 1, but they didn't find any success with this composition. And then when they got the playoffs, they swapped out the Viper and the Yoru for a Raze and a Sage, kind of a more antiquated composition. And it worked out great for them. I mean, kind of as we were framing up after the end of map 1, like Split and M80 really got established as a go-to map choice selection for them in playoffs, but it wasn't with this composition. I'm just really curious to see why they swapped back to this where it wasn't successful when they played back in the Swiss stage.
I think the focal point of it is Okeanos. B-Dog was the one playing Omen on Split when M80 was playing on it in the previous stage, but Okeanos has always been such a heavy fragger, and on this initiator role for M80, he's always struggled a tiny bit to really open up the ways that other initiators can, and that Victor has been so far this stage. Placing him on this Omen role, especially since we just saw them do it to Redux with Qbert Academy, could be a way to have somebody still get that activity going, still get that fragging potential, while still applying a lot of critical utility more consistently to the team. With these extra smokes and bow back on the Viper, one of his bread and butters, it still looks really good for M80 in my eyes.
Yeah, it just comes down to, again, they had tried this composition when they initially added Sato to the mix, so have they been able to kind of revive it in more productive ways? And so far, the pistol's looking pretty darn good. Just a quick hit over through A. Not really a lot of favorable contact at all for the Burger Boys. A couple of shots into Victor and Bao, but really outside of that, nothing else. So 3v5 on the retake, and there's still utility to spend here if you're M80 on these stacks.
Tremendous take here. And Sato on this Yoru, which I think he also feels a lot more comfortable with on nowadays. We'll be able to breach this site pretty easily and win out the fight from there. On the other side of this, Burger Boys with a pretty by-the-book comp here. They're keeping that Astra for Retro, who is swapped over from the Breach. Rest of the players playing basically what they've always played on this map and so many others since 2 years of Knights Gauntlets and other Challenger splits. I've seen these guys play on these agents on this map. It is tried and true and so damn good here on the defense.
I think the thing that, you know, looking at this competition compared to the prior one for M80, this is all about timing, tempo, and just raw aggression. Making sure Burger Boys don't get comfortable at all on defense. And I think a lot of that, you know, kind of wants to put Nanners into an uncomfortable spot of when do we use utility, where do we use it. Same thing in terms of like, if you're practical right now, I'm this Sky, which is, you know, I won't say uncommon, but it isn't a main practice. Like, do you have to start spending things like a Trailblazer and really guiding light just to contest these choke points? Because, you know, again, it's just a pistol and a follow-up round, but so far, tempo's been the name of the game for M80, and they're utilizing all their utility to get past the choke point, get onto site, get a plant, and the Burger Boys are just taking too long defensively to rotate. So it's going to make a call here if you're Burger Boys to have to start spending utility early just to try to get a read and try to slow down some of these initial approaches from M80.
And on the attack, with, you know, the composition that M80 has with the make-or-break style of the attack half of Split, are they really going to be scared of a bird or a bite or a blast pack at the end of the day? They're going to surge right forward, and they're still going to fight you. Burger Boys has to be prepared for every individual take that M80 goes for and diff them along the way. It'll have to be a defense they chip away at in order to make some headway on the site itself, because regardless, I think M80 is going to have no trouble getting there at least.
Oh, there we go. Kind of talking about the utility Trailblazer spent just to make sure nothing's over towards A main. Here comes the gate crash and a little bit of utility thrown over to the direction of Alvin, who has to give up the site for now. Bonnie up top, trying to watch the cross in through B main. Can't make any connections happen yet. No Okeanos and Sato. Wow, that is a really solid opener. Fracto does take 2 with them before dropping, but it's not going to be enough to stop this plant, and Retro's going to have to navigate a 1v3.
Loving this Yoru and Omen duo that's been taking over a good deal of compositions on maps lately. The double TP in to get across all of that remarkably powerful Sentinel utility that's been so pervasive on maps like this in the past. It's and again, it lets players like Okeanos and Sato get more aggressive than they normally could. Okeanos walking right into it, handing a sudden 1v1 here to Retro on the spike, and Sato saves the bonus.
Yeah, there's a level there where I think Retro knows that Sato's playing in that back corner, but there is a level of trying to pull him out, kind of get battle against the clocks, but still, regardless of how it comes to be, it's a bonus round that comes through cleanly for M80, up now 3-0 on full purchase, where the defense for Burger Boys are going to have to go into just pistol upgrades. And it's, again, we kind of feel that round out in terms of the bonus. Not the quick hit towards A, but Burger Boys have to spend utility just to keep it honest. And then all of a sudden they're surprised over towards B. So it's just, again, the utility battle is continuing to turn up in favor of M80. And now with pistols out, it's going to have to be some sort of a hero play for Burger Boys, and nothing's going to be occurring there as Sato finds the opener.
Nothing you can really do after the null. Few opportunities that Burger Boys will get to be able to hold on to this round. This will be the one from heaven after the screen goes down, as do the smokes, Nanners, Fatigue, counters it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Burger Boys called timeout after this one just to talk about what they want to do here. Again, you've only seen a single gun round to this point, but it's the simple fact of the matter that you're still, regardless of what weapons M80 are holding, you're not able to contest them from getting these spikes down at all. I mean, these are as free as you could possibly imagine for an offensive side on Split. Like, on Split, we just don't often see that be the case. So I think if you're looking at this from Burger Boys, it looks like they're gonna get this one more shot in terms of trying to make some small adjustments, and then if this goes awry, we'll probably be talking about it. But I really do believe that if you're Practo, you got to get aggressive with some of this opening utility. You don't necessarily need to hold on to another flash for retake. I think you need to use it just to gather information, because their ability to search out intel is essentially 0 right now.
Yeah, Practo's got to start swinging on himself a little more often, the same way Retro is able to do on Lotus. That kept that game so bloody close. Sato has already TP'd onto the B, as has Oki, who is top fragging for M80 at the moment. He has already looked so free, so wide open here on Split.
And we're going to learn right here. What do the Burger Boys have in mind? Trailblazer scouts out a little bit. Actually, Bao gets affected by that. Still gets into a corner and stays alive. The counter spam is good, and the follow-up gunfights are perfect. I mean, so what? You want to synopsize that battle? That's a Trailblazer getting information. You can't make good on it. But, like, what else? Like, what else? You can't just allow them to get into sight and then play retake with only Sky utility. Like, what is Retro going to do? Like, place a star? Like, cool, who cares? Like, Nanner's utility is already off the table once we hit the barriers dropping. I think Burger Boys have to be way more aggressive at taking away these choke points.
Yeah, this is such a lethal combination of being able to breach your way onto site aggressively and then setting up shop afterwards with the breach Teho util, and then that Viper Toxic Orb on top of the tower swing that just let Bao sit there for a century on the boxes despite being stunned and getting sprayed down by 2 players. Just the setup is so immediately there. And then you have Okeanos' smokes to cycle back to because he is on Omen now.
Yeah, man, it's not been good in terms of playbook here for the side of Burger Boys, but on the other side, again, just reflecting on, you know, week 4, week 5 for M80, they tried this composition and did not find success in both occasions. Now it's looking indomitable. Like, this looks like a meta-changing composition in terms of how you play Split, because it's just not a map you often expect to see this much dominance on the offensive side of the map. And yeah, this is one of those raffle stomp maps that, you know, for Burger Boys, I mean, you have to show us anything in this next gun round. Just some sort of stable ground that you can hold, because they're not holding on to anything but like mail right now. That's the only thing they've been able to hold on to is mail.
And not to continue, you know, doubling back to the many things that M80 has already clearly improved upon for this comp, but not just that Omen, but Sato on this Yoru looks so much better than he did previously in Split 1. I think in the previous Split, I think he was pracking a lot more just like entries and working off of his own blinds and like proper dimensional drifting. For this Split, you could tell he just pracked so many execs and just knows exactly how to open things up. And like his Raze, he's a lot more willing to throw his body at the problem if necessary. So far, that just hasn't been the case because he can't die.
Yeah, I mean, it's been clean. And there's also this, I think, a certain level of like, doesn't matter what Sato is playing, he's going to be good on it. Like, it just feels like that.
That's the point we're at.
Yeah, dimensional drift will come through. Armageddon's going to be called. Sato's with the final one. Trade comes back through, though, 4v4. Mail still being held. Offense held back for the time being. But Bonnie's committed to playing onto the B site, and there's not going to be a lot of assistance for him besides just playing off of a corner.
Nabila's doing an okay job of stalling out for a decent amount of time, but not a lot of this other reaction until really able to get that aggressive just because it's so fast. It's so one and done. And you're not able to get good synergy with what Retro has been able to set up. You do have a Cosmic Divide for this round, but M80, they have infested the map at this point after playing the long game. And it's another one of those moments that I hate to just kind of keep piling on here, but if you're Burger Boys, like, you have a spy cam double trapwire set up at A. Like, I understand that you don't know what's happening over through vents. You're worried about A tower, but I just don't think you have to make that route happen if you're Nanners, where you can still play off your own toxic screen to help Alvin out. It's not been complete here for Burger Boys, and there's also a level of that's happening too, where like M80 are just shooting right now. Yeah, certainly a big part of it. They've always come up on top. It's almost been cartoonish at some points where you have like 2 members of Burger Boys spraying down members of M80, and then one guy just comes in and boop, you're dead. Yeah. Yeah, none of this is really stringing together for Burger Boys. The composition feels not only outdated, but not up to snuff with how much M80 have to offer at any stage in the round. And the gunplay is looking on the attacker side as well. Everything coming up M80 on this second round. A far better display than we saw on Lotus. This looks incredibly put together. Yeah, and the other side of this, like, I know, again, Sky is not as typical as you would normally see, but I don't love the fact that we're already got A ramps control, working on A tower, and Practo has not thrown anything. Like, he's stuck in elbow, and from that position, it's not going to feel good to toss out like a late guiding light or a trailblazer. Like, you're just essentially playing your own life. Now, there will be a reset here, and you also got to keep in mind that we're dealing with limited purchase for Burger Boys, but I just, you know, seeing Bonnie at 0-7 and Practo just not throwing utility, I just feels like Burger Boys, they're lost. They feel lost right now. A lot of it really does feel very empty, but Burger Boy is doing a good amount of stall work right now, both through the util that they've used and the lack thereof. Yeah. Birds still available on this site retake. That Practo is now extended back into screens for, though. And so they have to fight individually. Nanners on the cyber cage for the one. Oh, wait, the showstopper goes into the corner. It actually misses on the ledge. That could have possibly swung things back over to the side of the Burger Boys if it would have connected, because then tower would have been clear. But I don't know if we get that on replay or not, but you kind of see it.
right as soon as you get to midair, I think the idea was to throw it down to A main, but then all of a sudden you notice a player up top at ledge and you kind of get caught threading the needle between both and it lands onto absolutely nothing.
I think that's exactly what happened too. We'll see it again here.
Oh no, he just whiffs. He just whiffs.
Oh man, he just whiffed Victor. That is a damn shame. Wow, yeah. He wasn't even playing. He was just playing to reopen it. Because you know why? Because they already knew that M80 was up there.
Yeah.
That's just how far they've gotten.
Well, we're already into round 9. Perfect so far as M80. We've got ops on both sides of the field here. This is going to be interesting. First time we've seen those being brought through.
Poison's off.
And this smoke will actually just lead into a rare hit that we haven't seen much of, which is through vents. Now, Bonnie's going to hear just about all of this. The question will be, what kind of help can he get to try to contest with the op in this position?
It's like none in time. He might just swing it. Nobody paying attention on top of these vents. And M80's still a little bit spooked by the swing. But with the Viper's pit set up on the other side, M80 maybe even more motivated to come here.
Oh, no, you got to hit that.
Oh, man, you do.
So now 5v4, A towers wide open. Practo tries to go back to it, gets caught on Bao, who's essentially just lurking because the rotation around this Viper's pit back to B main is what's currently underway. Alvin feeling the pressure over towards A, but that's not where the hit is coming from. Instead, it's going to be back over towards B site. Nanners trying to do what they can to stay a part of this defense, but has to hold the Viper's pit. Sato waited to hit some sort of a pinch over through mid as the spike will get planted. 4v3.
Another strict setup here. Burger Boys have very few windows to work in. Trying to clear one at a time. It's just not the way to do it. And Sato's found the stab. I think that's curtains.
Yeah, I think it is too. Yep. And there's the exit. It's just not enough Alvin can get out. No way. Wow. Oh, woof.
Man.
How have we not called the timeout yet, by the way, if you're Burger Boys? Like,
what?
That's the other side is like, nothing has even come close to going right. And I don't know. I'm at a loss for words here.
I'm really astounded by Nanners in action through the entirety of that sequence. Unable to step out to fight for the main line, unable to step back to fight for the pinch that he certainly felt was still happening by how inactive he was. I don't know if it was timing or a miscommunication or just being worse. I don't want to say it's the last one, but it is 9-0 now. I mean, like you said, nothing's working. No timeouts. Screw it, we ball.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you've got more kills for nearly half of M80 individually than you do for the Burger Boys combined right now. And that, again, like that ending right there with trying to save, and you just lose a gunfight when you're holding a corner, holding a pre-aim, like that. There's also a level of that's telling the story in its own right too. Where it's like Burger Boys just can't win a gunfight right now.
Right.
Hit on towards A, no test, no challenge, even with just sheriffs. And again, where's the trailblazer? Where's the guiding light? Like we're just running through a cyber cage with no information, man. Like. This has got to feel way too easy for M80. They got to be thinking, what are we doing right now? Like, who are we playing?
Yeah. Oh, dog just in time. Stepped out of the pit actually, so he's full for this swing. Yeah, nothing there. The timing is not timinging, and Sato is getting everything for free for it. At the end of the day, they're kind of just winning anyway.
It's like, okay, so like. I wanted to just take a moment.
Bonnie's got 0 kills.
Correct.
Oh,
correct.
Days.
Combined 1 in 20, 3 in 30 for 3 members right now. I kind of want to zoom out just a touch, and you know, again, like we're all sitting here and we're looking at the results that M80 had for stage 1 on Split, and the playoff run was where I think they really started to gain favor, and it was not in this composition. They had tried this as soon as Sato had joined the team. It didn't work out all that well. They had lost the map twice. Once the Nightblood Gaming, you don't expect to lose against that team. Now all of a sudden it's looking obviously much better, but there's also a level of they're not being tested either. Like Burger Boys have done no adjusting, And outside of them just sitting here and scratching their heads and being completely flabbergasted, it really has just been M80 running the show from start to finish, and they're going to get another post plan today.
And this is a wellness check of a map if I've ever seen one.
Yeah.
How is this comp doing? Better? Great to hear. Let's keep seeing it. Practo will get the kill onto ramps, which Burger Boys do seize control back of, but the spike is ticking away, and you don't have any other semblance of sight.
Yeah. You have to clear out ramps. You have to worry about that long play over through sewer, but you also need to clear things out over through elbow. Rolling Thunder to delay.
Cosmic Divide free. There you go.
Yeah. This should isolate, but... okay, I say special delivery for Victor doesn't get through. Okay, that'll work. The pulse comes out. Trades are decent. Leaving it just down now to Bao for the 1v3. Spike going to be defused. Bao cannot challenge it. And there we go.
Able to play that step by step. Able to take a little bit of extra time with it. You win a fight out in the beginning there, so you're able to gain some control back early. And then you keep the stack and swing off of that. Win enough fights to get by. Fellas, you won yourself a round of Valorant. So you got guns back here and every excuse to throw some util at the wall to try to grab a first blood again. Now that you know you can. Where is M80 gonna go from here?
Yeah. The world is their oyster, Tenrek. The world is their oyster. They can do whatever they want, it feels like.
We mid-fight chat? Finally? Skirmish and stairs? What if we kissed at the bottom of mail?
What? Need a wellness check on my co-caster real quick?
I'm doing great.
Okay.
I'm having the time of my life.
Oh, Nanners isn't. And neither is Bonnie. And that's just, again, you called for it. A little bit fight. It's through smoke. It's on contact plays. And M80 just don't lose gunfights. So now you can kill some noise, cause some distraction. You're going to have Burger Boys desperately trying to hang on to whatever ground they have, which is not much, to be fair. Just one member up top at B Tower. Practo is just looking for shoulders. And eventually, this is just going to be a burst hit. It looks like over towards the A site through vents. Retch is going to hear all of it.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get some decent timing on this, assumedly. Will Practo toss util out? Is this the right time to drop down? Immediately, no, he's sprayed.
One enemy remaining.
Lands it on site too. Yeah, nothing doing this time around. It'll be an 11-1/2.
Flawless.
Oof.
Oof.
Is this the time of the map where we say, is it Burger Boys or is it fries in the bag boys? Because at the moment, it's not been good. It's got to win the pistol. And just kind of, again, reflecting over it, if the offensive side wins 55% of the time normally, and they just won 11 out of 12, the defensive side wins 54% of the time on normal occasions. And that usually is their second half where they're already up, talking about M80. So doesn't feel like there's much of a conversation in terms of trying to build any sort of a comeback story. And maybe we can just try to do what Bob Ross would do, try to paint a silver lining here. And maybe you start talking about the ability to set up stars to control space. You flash and double dash in for Bonnie. Like, that's maybe the only benefit that this composition has. I don't know. Hard to say.
We'll get an early trade in Garage to kick things off. Burger Boys.
Poison's off.
Less power in the singular lurk, but more power in the mid now. That's why Bao will leave it be. So some passive space gained off of that opening fight that you've only lost Alvin for, so you're not checking behind you. Great news, considering M80 will probably not be going behind you.
Yeah, but the ISO is just so convincing. Again, M80 get the information and just completely dominate, giving themselves an advantage now. 4v3, rotation over to B. This will be expected by Okeanos. Hearing a lot, I'll be honest. Has the paranoia to hold on to, goes for a shoulder check, nearly capitalizes onto a headshot. Now we get the dark cover, and as soon as the hit up towards top tower comes out, Paranoia is going to cut across the site, exactly right. Flash to try to counter out, Alkiana's pushed back. Here comes the follow-up gunfight, Bonnie able to find one, but again, isolated, but shot's not good for Victor. Leaving it just down to Caillou at low health, and Bonnie will catch 3 and take the pistol.
It's strictly a rundown from Bonnie to make things work. Shot's not aligning for any member of M80 there. Okeanos with the first whiff, and I believe that was Bao with the follow-up. Nobody could really retake it. But Burger Boys, regardless, were still quicker to that B site, really unafraid to let Okeanos hear them out because that util dump was coming shortly after. You saw Oki immediately had to back out, respect that paint shell. Salvos were tossed on top for good measure. Burger Boys have the same execution on paper when it comes to power level. It just comes to scaling off of that is really concerning because, again, that Sky util sticks out like a sore thumb in this day and age.
Yeah, and I think the thing about it, too, is, like, it sticks out like a sore thumb on top of that because that's all that Burger Boys have to play off of when it comes to execution. So we're really keeping our eyes on it. So it's a level of seeing it. There's another level of just making sure you're always reading when those things happen. Trailblazer through mid. Speaking of, met by a little bit of a 2-2 crossfire setup here at mid. Here's the peak over to the Nebula. Trades are not going to be there, though. And that will be enough to collect the spike, get to work, get the post plant, and have Victor just kind of fighting for his life on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, played the right way the whole way through there. Just letting Bonnie get the easy peek, easy kills. Now just a couple orbs away from this showstopper to get some action going in the bonus that Burger Boys have already got their sights set on. I think Victor's just gonna, harakiri here. Call it a day. Let's move on.
My life for hire.
Understandable. I don't think you change what you're doing too much so far if you're Burger Boys. I think the plays that they've been executing so far have been perfectly recyclable when it comes to the gun round. For M80's sake, you're able to slow down a little heavier now, but it's already been made clear that they can toss a whole lot at you in response. So my real question is, how many are they going to end up keeping on site, trying to keep planted for the pre-plant here? How much confidence do they have in taking that early fight to gain advantage?
Well, opening battle for position at B main, dark cover followed up by a push through from Sato, deletes the spy cam that's placed early. And Okeanos will be trusted to hold the site by throwing shoulders and hanging on to a paranoia. He will have help through B tower in case things get mixy, but Burger Boys on this stack will not have the spike, as M80 on the other front wait for the smoke to dissipate at mid, check it, no one's home, and now again, you have the information. You could spend the next couple of moments leaning towards B, anticipating a hit.
And no reason not to leave this, especially when Sato can in a moment's notice with that gate crash. He's already sent back over to A. The Burger Boys look primed to be able to attack at lightning speed, with Manners still planted over here in the sewers, but more of a watch than anything else at the moment. Still, back out from B main again here, as Prakto holding onto that spike will follow the pack up mid that's been cleared away.
That's all you need for information if you're bow. Yep, snake bite gets put through, push it to a pause. 30 seconds. You have to use utility to re-clear out tower now if you're Burger Boys. Flash being held at the ready for Sato. Guiding light. So what? Secondary goes through. So what? Sato, though, overwhelmed. Chance to flood on through. Okeanos holding a bit of a cross. Paranoia cuts across. That's going to land at least on the one. Follow-up gunshots are there, but Alvin able to respond. 10 seconds on the clock. Spike should still be able to come down. And we're going to have a 2v3.
Salvo's placed on. We'll have to force the reposition, but it's a small one that still lets it be safe. Victor immediate swing on top of it. M80, they fight it now, and Victor wins it all. The dump early on from Burger Boys was really solid, and they had a lot to offer throughout the entirety of that fight, overwhelming Sato despite, those birds not doing jack. And they crawl forward. They continue to exact upon that link, and Alvin getting the solid double kill after M80 were the ones that have to reset on aim.
Yeah.
It was almost strung together, but the 2v3 that they take at just the right time, those salvos make it there at the last second to force that momentary breath from Burger Boys. And then Victor swinging into it in his prime.
It's
now 9 rounds of match point.
Yeah, it's like,
Here.
it's impressive for Victor. But if you're Burger Boys, brother, 3-2-1 peak. Like, that is too individual. Nanners? Wait a second. Backside of the Toxicgen's going to hear a lot of this. There's one. Turns it into a second, but trades her out and bow. Meanwhile, through mid, holds off a play into vent. So, looked like a pretty dramatic start in favor of Burger Boys, but we have a 3v3.
The Burger Boys will look to re-up this B site, perceiving it as far weaker with Sato knowing that he's out of mid. But they don't know, potentially, that he's already creeping up here from Sushi, with the help of Valve for that matter. The double swing potential on top of the paranoia. Okeanos can stall this out so dang long. Out comes the bird. That'll be the easy kill onto Okeanos, right?
Stop it.
Right? No, it's not! Precto, though, for 3! Okay, I mean, it was a round they were meant to win, frankly, but...
True. But we're team flashing. It's just, again, it is what it is at this point. It feels like you mentioned, it's gonna be 9 straight rounds worth of match point here for M80. So a bit forgiven into what is going to be a save round here, but yeah, Nanner's opening things up, nearly puts the round to rest right there. And actually, no, that's not a team flash. That's just Alvin whiffing.
That's just a whiff, dude.
Yeah, I just assumed based on him kind of toggling his vision that he was. But regardless of it, pistols are now through. And quick action here from Burger Boys, punishing onto Okeanos and Victor, trying to play off that same little duo setup at B main. And it'll be off to the races here. All gas, no brakes for side of Burger Boys offensively. That will win that round pretty much outright as Bow's last lap.
A couple quick little Gamba stacks with M80 on the eco here. Nothing to panic about, but Burger Boys, nice round to build themselves up here on the Flawless, keeping all of those guns and all of those ults as well. Nanner's 2 away, Retro 3. And, I mean, you could open things up however you want to. And now the post plant as well, a little more powerful with those Seekers available. You can play a lot of angles at once, something that M80 were really looking to try and hone in on when they made that last push.
Timeout just to get the bearings straight here if you're M80s, and full gun round coming up here. Ultimates also to spend. This could just be one of those check the boxes. Make sure you go through the laundry list of what exactly you should be doing with all of these tools. And just get on to prepping for next week. Burger Boys, I'm sure happy to have this timeout though as well, as they're also kind of building up a bit of a bank, and we'll have ultimates that they could potentially start to cycle through if they can survive through this round. So opportunity starting to brew to keep this string together of rounds going if you are the Burger Boys. But again, there's so many obstacles in the way for us being able to start talking about an overtime, let alone a comeback.
Very little standing in the way of M80 at this stage. Map pool is probably what people are paying attention to at this point when it comes to M80's future in the stage. Clearly, there are still weak points like Lotus that teams, even in the bottom of the projected standings, are able to get the drop on for and really punish for mistakes. But, I mean, after the ban on Icebox, you had to expect this. You had to be ready for it, and doesn't seem like Burger Boys fully were.
Yeah. Seekers at the ready here for Practo. Burger Boys going to be stacked. The Viper's Pit, not really going to be threatened, obviously, by this. So you're going to get a quick rotation back over. Gatecrash back to defensive spawn. On his horse is Okeanos, trying to get back over as well. The stall tactics from Caillou, the only thing that could potentially be in the way. And the spam shots of this Nebula have not landed yet. So everyone stays healthy. Next thing up for the showstopper to try to get into sight.
Good that they were able to use both of those out the gate. The Seeker's not really wall breaking too heavily. Victor peeking out the vents early as well.
Spike planted.
Zato now into Dimensional Drift. Actually, I don't know if you saw the player underneath tower. Obviously has a good look at what's happening over towards elbow here. But Retro may be tucked inside that smoke. Here comes the isolation. M80 full focus on playing over towards screens. Armageddon on the way in, and that's enough for elimination, plus a follow from Okeanos, and now they know that Retro is playing underneath them. And it's all down to Bonnie. 1v4 situation. Fouls is going to get the hop and then immediately have the shorty ready to go. Quick, comfortable, map number 2 here for M80, and a story that you can write more as the headline being, that's more like it.
That's, I think, a great way to put it. Things that could have potentially put M80 in the hot seat for 3 maps tonight, reduced to silliness, reduced to jest here on Split. Minimal mistakes, extremely clear execution, really good confidence from these new comp picks that you see Okeanos going for in particular on this Omen. Sato looks so confident on this Yoru, especially after lighting up early on map 1. This is an M80 that looks put together not just for the short term, but the long term too. Keep watch on him.
Yeah, I think the overall kind of epilogue to this map in particular is M80 going back to a composition they found no success with, or limited amounts of success with, no wins, put it that way, when Sato had first joined. And I think the idea with the coaching staff and with this team was, we want Sato to be the guy that gets in, has an entry, usually comes away with at least one. That wasn't working out. Maybe a little bit of coordination being a bit of an issue. You go back to a very antiquated composition with the Sage and the Rays. That worked out for the playoff run, but this is why you brought Sato in. You want him to run this type of a role, and obviously here, everything comes up pretty much aces. So, clean stuff from M80. They finish off our day 2-0, but don't go anywhere. We still got the post-match interview and the desk if you want to listen to them. By the backside of the break.
People would really like to give up, and they don't really have that drive.
The expectation should be to win first place.
Get them to send. We kind of just threw at the end.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, M80 we're winning 5 versus 3.
Look how quick this one. Oh! It's
Welcome back, everyone, to Valorant Challengers League North America. I'm your host, Elizabeth, joined by Gompers and Vincili on the desk. And if you're just joining us, a little peace sign for you. You're a little too late because we have just finished up our matches for the day, where we have some nice clean 2-0s with most recently M80 taking down Burger Boys. Gompers, you got this prediction right, unlike the first match. Not to open old wounds, but this one went exactly in the direction you thought, Gompers. Just give me a quick run for maybe those of us who are just joining, thinking that maybe there's going to be a map 3. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the second map, to be honest with you. I thought it was definitely like a fight was going to be pulled, which in all fairness, at the end, there definitely was a fight being given from Burger Boys, although all in all, it was just M80 really not giving any slack, specifically from Sato. This player really showed up today. And, you know, when they're on. And it felt like today was just the day. And whatever the coach is doing, they're doing it right. Whatever the IGL is doing, they're doing it right. Like, all the calls on Split felt drastically better than the last time we saw them on Split, for sure.
Definitely just difficult for Burger Boys to get things activated, even though they're starting I'm pretty sure you saw on defense first or something like that, right? But it doesn't really matter. You're also playing a composition where it's supposed to be good stalls and reactive, but it doesn't allow for you to be as aggressive or proactive here on your defensive side. And when you're turning up the way that you are playing against, again, another flood take composition, it was very, very hard to hold, especially when you have something like Sato as well that's just popping off the way that he did. So yeah, it just felt like it was GG already when you're looking at the Adrian composition before going into the game, that it was going to be a very simple game on the side of M80 to be able to overtake this.
Gombers, I'm going to ask you about the Sky on the side of Burger Boys. We talked about it while we were watching. I mean, right away, your sound, right? The Sky was something that we were a little nervous about when we saw the agent composition. And I'm just going to let you take it away and how you saw Burger Boys use the Sky and where the failures were in that selection of the agent.
It's just not the pick, honestly. I'm going to and that's no hate towards Sky, because Sky can be very, very impactful on certain maps. It's just, I just don't think the Sky worked out this time. I don't think it really gave them any promise. I mean, majority of the time, right, we saw Sky's util getting absolutely tanked immediately off the rip on every single round. And it felt like there was no information being put forth from the Sky. There was the occasion where the ults would come out, and yes, it would, you know, you'd hear a shot coming from left or right, but other than that, it's like you have to expect these things, right? Like, is someone backside? Sure, it gives you the clarity that, okay, yeah, someone's back, but you don't know what position they're in. You don't know the reposition that's happening. There's absolutely no intel. I felt like that was really manageable that Burger Boys could have used off of this Sky. And to me, it was like they were lacking the initiator.
It was good. It was good in like 2021, 2022 when the Sky could still break like Cypher trips on middle, whereas even if like M80 didn't use one, right, but they were playing like a Vice or any other team would play a Cypher, you could still get a lot of value around, like, let's say a Fade or something like that. But just in general, there's just not enough to allow your team overall to get good value on mid control, because you already have one person that's going to be, let's say, the Sky Dog trying to scout for the team or flash through a smoke, but who's going to swing behind Bonnie when he's going to try to take control of middle at the same time? It's not going to work out too well. You're playing three other agents that are fairly passive, or that you need them to stay alive to set up these smokes. Again, I felt like it was on paper something that maybe would have been good for them if they were able to get good reads and stack towards the right sites. But when you're planning to get against M80 the way that they work the map on their attack side, very, very difficult for you to actually get those correct guesses.
The politest roast from Vance. It was good 3 or 4 years ago, but nowadays, especially when you have someone like Victor on this
chat when you have a chance to talk to him.
Should I? Wait, maybe I should. Good call, Vancilli. Chet, is that you for the post-match interview? Hi, Chet. How are you?
I'm all right. How about you?
Good. I wanted to talk to you because I think, you know, you're such a beloved member of the Valorant community, you know, beloved coach, storied coach, and you're coming in to this new team with Victor, but this new team, this new group of folks. Talk to me about the adjustment with this team, and why did you think that this was the team that you wanted to coach?
Well, honestly, I was just banned from Valorant, so that's like a unique case, I guess, for a while. So kind of like stalled my team joining process for a long time. And seeing as the season was kind of midway over for franchising, it made sense just to like keep my coaching skills up to join like a team right away. And M80 has been a pretty good org in Challengers, I've heard, for like a long time. They haven't qualified yet, and they pretty much made back-to-back finals each year they've competed. So it seemed like they had a good like org structure at least. And I know these players are different, but I'm pretty confident in the way we played and the way we're playing in practice that we could probably translate that. And I've never worked with newer players either, so for a really long time. So it's like a nice challenge.
talking about working with those newer players, especially with some younger folks on the team, you kind of like have this responsibility almost to kind of guide them and nurture them, for lack of a better word, into, you know, players ready to ascend if and when you make ascension. What has that process been like? Because that's a new, like you're saying, that's a new kind of avenue for you.
Yeah, well, I didn't have much time before the first match. Like me and Victor, we just joined like probably 4 or 5 days before that first game, so we kind of just rolled with what they had. So going into the second week, we kind of identified what we thought could be better. So, I mean, you can see like Okeanos is going on controller and Vic has moved to like initiator or like a flex role, kind of how he did more traditionally in like the teams I've been with him in the past. Just to bring that like layer of experience to the roster, like where he can like kind of help in the pack. Because I feel like from the first game, it felt like our pack was super disorganized, but now it feels a bit more structured. I still think we have like a ways to go. Like we only have like another 5 days of practice with these roles, like with this current comps that are running. So there's gonna be bumps. It's not gonna look like insanely drilled right now, but as you can see, like split looked like pretty good. Sometimes things just will mesh better on certain maps. Like I was pretty confident in Lotus regardless. I think we just fumbled a few rounds and made them look better than they actually were. Yeah, I mean, it just feels good just working towards progressing with the new players, giving them advice that we've learned from the past.
Something I want to ask you as well is, you know, you said you bring Victor like 4 or 5 days before the season started. Did you recruit Victor? What was that process like?
Well, I think it was like Don or Psycho messaged me, and then I think he messaged Vic as well. I think their plan was to bring us both on board at the same time. Like I just asked Vic, I was like, are you down? And like I was like, yeah, I'm down if you're down. And it's not like it wasn't a really in-depth conversation. We just kind of just went with it because, like I said, there's really nothing else to do right now. Like we can't really, in my opinion, I don't really see franchise teams wanting to take a risk to make a change this late in the season anyways. And I think it's something good that just like lets us be in the meta, like understand what's happening, you know, keep us busy basically. And then also like if we ascend with this team, then, you know, it's really nice. Like we accomplished something good during the year and it's still like a good year for us.
Where do you see M80 in terms of kind of the pack in Challengers right now, and whether standings, whatever you want to call it? You said you still have like some kinks to iron out as well, but how do you see M80 right now in the meta, if you will, of the Challengers teams?
I mean, we do really well in practice right now. This past week, especially with our newer changes. So, I mean, I can see us like it's like top 3 team, I guess. I'm not really sure like how everyone else is faring right now, but I feel like as time progresses and we're able to fix more mistakes, it'll just be a bit better. Like I think we just have a lot more to drill, just to get the matches like more in our favor. Like I don't want to see any more like 13-11 against non-salary teams. You know, just like I feel like we should be like doing what we did on Split. So I think probably top 3. You know, we'll see how it goes. I'm just gonna work on my team's like own strategy, and you know if it develops well, then I can see us taking it pretty far.
I have one last question for you. Kind of go back a little bit more specific. I see him in chat. Sato is a one-of-a-kind duelist that is truly remarkable in terms of just his mechanical prowess and his cerebralness. What is it like working with someone like him? Because we were watching during the broadcast, and he is just, Chet, he's different. Like, I don't know. He just gets away with so much. And I can't imagine what coaching him is like.
Yeah, no, he's really talented. He plays mainly our like duelist role for the most part. So, you know, we just like let him go kill. I think right now we're just doing our best to set him up with like as many of our initiator abilities as possible. We kind of like, I think our team plays fundamentally smart. So if we're able to just get him on like extremity lines and like he can hold something down, like I can generally trust him to get like 1 or 2 kills or like at least bait out all the utility because Valorant has developed like so much util that if I can put my your character on that role and trust him there, I feel like I can trust him on that. So far it's been going well with him. I think we're gonna keep working on just the plays for him and just like keep helping him develop to be like a really big star player. And then, yeah, if that works out, then we'll see him in franchising not too long from now.
He, I mean, is absolutely brilliant. And so thank you so much for your time, Chet, and congratulations on a very clean 2-0 today. And please give her congratulations to the rest of your team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chet. Always good to talk to him. And now we are done for the day. Thank you so much for joining us in Valorant Challengers League North America. But we do come back tomorrow and then the next day. Wow, we love you so much. We've given you so much Valorant. And we're going to give you so much more Valorant. You know, Vans loves you so much, he's stopped on the way back here from home and decided to pop in, you know? But today overall, I think was a good kind of, I don't know if this is the litmus test is the right word, Gompers, but a good indicator of where we are in Challengers. If this is your first time watching Challengers Gompers, this was a good way to see where everyone is at, especially the individual players.
No, I agree, honestly. It really does give you the sense of who are the top dogs and who are slowly trying to climb their way back up. M80, you know, really happy they got to play another match live and show everyone what they're all about. You know, going from that loss from Ambrosia, I feel like today they were really looking forward to being on this big stage and showcasing, hey, we fixed it. Like, everything's good, guys. No worries. So, no, that's definitely good to see. And I'll give kudos, right? Like, where it's Stu Burger Boys, they are phenomenal. And, you know, Van said it, like, don't count this team out for sure. I think they're going to come back 10 times stronger. Definitely rewatch that split VOD and definitely switch the Sky. There's a lot of changes there. But yeah, I'm super happy with the performance today for sure.
Vans coming in. I know you were a little late to the party. Thank you so much for stepping in for Dan, who could not join us today. Of course. And your new, the debut, your new haircut. We love it.
Thank you.
His Ninja Low taper fade. I love it. Yeah.
But coming in today, for someone who maybe is watching Challengers for the first time today, because I'm seeing we're becoming more and more popular, more and more people are paying attention, which is amazing. It's exactly what this league is about. What do you think we have shown today? It's a big macro question, but as someone kind of as well. But I feel like
I love the big macro questions,
wordsmith.
actually.
Yeah,
for sure. So now we have like the addition of Victor and Chet and what they actually brought. Chet just mentioned before, 5 days of practice when they first joined. You saw the results. It was a little bit shaky against Ambrosia, where they lost that series against Ambrosia. But then you see a spark new team with role changes, and Okeanos once again switching roles. Victor also switching roles, but both of them looking pretty good respectively in those roles. So I think that's pretty good overall from M80 in terms of a pulse that we can get moving forward. If this continues this way, I would agree with Chet. This is potentially a good top 3, but they still have to play against, like, you know, the Shopify Rebellion Black that won split 1. You still have Qbert Academy that stepped up to the plate. Ambrosia looks really good coming into the second split overall. So I think the pulse is good, that the playing field for all of these teams are still quite even. And we haven't really seen a true team stay on top yet in this split 2. So it's probably going to have to narrow down into the last few weeks.
And that's why you need to stay with us. We have more Valorant tomorrow and the next day. But until then, thank you so much for joining us on behalf of production and the desk. Thank you so much for joining us. See you tomorrow. Have fun, be safe, make good decisions, and hydrate a little extra for me today, all right? Lots of love.
Emergency.
So Pete comes through, Sacred collects the op and connects with it, but Inspire is so planted on this site. Annihilation banking across the site. This time it will not land. Spy Camp is still finding so much information, but Inspire will drop. Now it's on to pop it, and he has been unbelievable, and he's continuing to do it. Oh! I call it what it is. Oh, again, spam through smoke. This time, Trusted Plug will stay fully healthy from this. The kill contract tossed out late, and Kate Zera showing absolutely no respect with the Spectre out. Follow-up also still underway as the Paranoia gets used late, and you can see the panic for Trusted Plug as soon as they get a read on that. There's nowhere to go, man. Nowhere to go, and it feels guiding light. So what? Secondary goes through. So what? Sato overwhelmed. Chance to flood on through. Okeanos holding a bit of a cross. Paranoia cuts across. That's going to land at least onto 1. Follow-up gunshots are there, but Alvin able to respond. 10 seconds on the clock. Spike should still be able to come down, and we're going to have a 2v3.
Salvo's placed on. We'll have to force the reposition, but it's a small one that still lets it be safe. Victor immediate swing on top of it. M80, they fight it now, and Victor wins it all. The dump early on from Burger Boys was really solid, and they had a lot to offer.
So Pete comes through.